It is coming back, guys. I don't know how many times I've said this about Mercedes' grills, but to me, Mercedes is not supposed to be angry and frowning in the front end. It's supposed to have this elegant, beautiful front end look with this graceful, smiling grille that they are actually putting back now in the GLE Coupe and the GLS, and this is exactly what I wanted to see in the front end for Mercedes. It looks like it's going to have a similar grille to what we have in the Mercedes E-Class. We have the spy photos. We're going to have a look at these and then compare it, of course, in Photoshop to the existing model, which, by the way, the GLE, the current GLE that came out in, I think, 2020, I think it's the most planted looking SUV on the market. It looks like a tank, and for some reason the frowning grille on the GLE I think maybe suits it because it has this almost militaristic style to it. But I also like that now we have the smiling grille, the gracefulness of Mercedes back in the front end, just as it should be. So let's have a look at this article from Car Scoops before jumping into Photoshop. These three Mercedes SUVs are making grills great again. The midsize GLE, the GLE Coupe, and their GLS big brother are all being facelifted with the E-Class grille. And yes, we do get the star-shaped DRLs inside of the headlights, also in the taillights in this case. That is one thing I'm not so sure about, because I've said this before, the star shapes that you have inside of the headlight unit, it does not follow the outline of the headlight unit itself, the framing for it. It has nothing in common with it. It clashes a lot, just putting stars inside of the headlight unit. It's not my cup of tea, that specific details. So all three SUVs gain a bigger grille, and you can see it right here. It's pretty tall though. So what I would like to do is probably cut it in this area, maybe make a redesign when this is unveiled probably later this year, and see what it actually looks like. It might look good, I'm not sure. Underneath all this camo, maybe all the graphic features are actually working great together. So the three distinct types of SUVs are all getting the same makeover that includes a new look grille, like the one introduced on the current E-Class. The E-Class brought back the grille frame, a feature that had been a Mercedes staple for decades, and it's not coming back. Great to see that. The frame makes the grille more prominent on the GLEs, and so more instantly recognizable. But those grills are also taller, like I just said, than the ones they replace, and have a new mesh design. I do like the mesh design in here inside of the grills. You can see it here again. It looks very classy, very simple design for the mesh. If we're gonna keep this in production, which we're hopefully going to do, I think it looks better than the bars that we used to have before, right next to the Mercedes logo. So the new look ditches these fat horizontal bars on either side of the circular badge of Mercedes in the non-AMGs. In the pre-facelift ones. So like the GLE, it gets a taller grille on the GLS, but this one adds three formal grille bars for a very traditional Mercedes look. And both the GLE and the GLS will get both star-shaped taillights. First appeared on the brand new E-Class. We also have that in the CLA sedan now. You have about 150, 200 stars in the front end of the CLA, which is a little bit of an overkill for me. I mean, one big star in the grille is fine, but 150, a little bit too much. So expected these tighten up SUVs to arrive midway through the 2026 model year. And here you can see the GLS. You can see the three bars here in the front end. Compare that to the GLE that does not have these three bars. I still think it looks better than the frowning grille that we're used to seeing from Mercedes for the last 4 years or so. This is the design that I personally want to see. It looks pretty tight here. Not sure if the GLE is actually also going to get the star-shaped DRLs in the headlights and the taillights. Probably, I would assume so, because they want to have the same design across the entire lineup of their products. Learn design sketching online with me. My online class is now only $47. If you have any desire to pick up the skill of sketching products using simple tools such as just a big pen and some cheap print paper, this is something you want to check out. Now, over the years, I've taught over thousands of students from all around the world how to sketch cars and products using my simple sketching techniques, and most of them have seen amazing results from my classes. Analog Designer Pro Pack is the full bundle of all my classes I've released over the years, and it's yours for just $47. You also have a lifetime access to all the videos. Check out everything that's included and see what my students have to say in the link in the description, or simply visit analogdesignerpropack.com. So let's jump into Photoshop here and see what do I mean by frowning and graceful grills. What am I talking about here exactly? So looking at the spy photo here, we have a completely brand new front end. Compare that to the current one, which again, in this case, having this militaristic, I don't know why I feel like this is a militaristic vehicle. It just has the proportions of the stance of a beefy SUV, like a beast of an SUV. This being the AMG version, of course, looking even beefier. I kind of like the frowning grille in this case. And by frowning, I mean that at the top of the grille we have the narrow section up here, and then the angles outwards in the grille, so we have a wider base for the grille instead of having the old traditional Mercedes grille. So it looks something like this, where you had the wider portion up top, and then it went into the narrower portion in the lower section. And that is, look at this, that's exactly what we're getting with the facelifted versions. We now have this top piece being the wider section going into a thinner section or narrower section in the lower section. However, it is very tall in this case, and I'm not sure if this is going to look a little maybe too tall for the overall front. You can see how far up the intakes on the side go here. They actually intrude on the height of the grille, so they stick up further than the base of the grille, and that is what I'm not so sure about how that is going to look in the production version. It's probably going to look pretty decent to me, but here you can also see that you can hint the stars inside of the headlight here, and the main headlight unit sitting right here and here as well, and then you have two stars in between those. I don't think we're going to, maybe I could be wrong here. Probably, actually, we probably are going to switch out the headlight design, because here you can see in the old one we have this angle and now the same angle for the headlight units. So these are two parallel lines, and I think we can't have this line if we're gonna have a graceful smiling grille. We need to maybe have it in the same line like we have the grille now. So maybe create the headlights something like this instead of having the end point being like that. I'm not sure. If they want to save money, they're gonna keep the exact same headlights outline for it like we have in the current ones. Looking at the side view here, this one looking properly planted, going around the ring testing. I've always been a fan of the GLE. I think it's a beautiful looking SUV. The line flow, the surfacing, everything looks beautiful. One thing I've always been annoyed by is this manufactured piece up here that I guess they can't make this corner without having this crease in this line cutting into the D pillar in this case, or C pillar. When you see it, it's very hard to unsee, but other than that, it's a beautiful looking machine. I also like the 5-spoke wheels here. We talked about the X5 yesterday, having these big 23-inch 5-spoke wheels on their test mules, and I think it looks fantastic, and I also think it looks very, very good here with these AMG style wheels. The proportions overall, beautiful looking proportions for the GLE, beautiful SUV overall with the soft surfacing, and then you have the combination of a couple of key sharp lines going through the bodywork, connecting from the front end into the bumper here as well, and this sharp shoulder line in the side. You can see it more clearly here on the current production version. We have this beautiful shoulder line cutting right through across the entire length of the vehicle, and this lower portion here, this line cutting out some volume in the lower section, making it feel a little bit more athletic. And I also have been a fan of this rear window. It just looks beautiful. It has a very classic look to it, very unique design for the GLE. And the stance overall with the AMG wheels, silver wheels, thankfully for this specific trim, just looks gorgeous. Now looking at the taillight section here, and again, you can see, I don't think we're going to change the outline of the taillights. I think we're going to have the exact same taillights like we have in the pre-facelift. It's going to be too costly to change that for just a facelift, but you can clearly see that now we do have the star patterns like we have in the new S-Class. We have it in the new CLA, and also the new E-Class as well have these star patterns in the inside of the taillight unit itself. But other than that, I don't think we're going to have any major changes to the lower section of this. If you look at where the position lights is here, the reflector lights looks to be in the exact same spot like we have in this camouflaged test vehicle right here sits in the exact same spot. So I think the diffuser, the lower section, is probably going to stay the same. And in the rear, this is going to be one of these typical traditional facelifts when you only change the big things in the, you know, the major changes happens in the face of the vehicle, and that's totally fine by me because the rest of the GLE still looks very, very tight today and can definitely go on for a couple of years and still have this modern look to it. I also like these ribs that we have on top of the hood. Classic Mercedes styling, going back to the original Mercedes SL of the 50s or maybe the 60s. So beautiful update by Mercedes. Looking forward to see the production versions of this. If the grille is actually going to look too tall for the front end, I'm not sure. I'm 50-50 looking at the camouflage pictures. But let me know what you think about this. Do you prefer the frowning grille or the more graceful, smiling grille that we now have in the facelifted versions?